If you want to play along with this artboard is 1920 by 1080, not 1600 by 900. Sorry for sabotaging you yesterday. And the text is chunk 5 regular at 300 pixels. And after I typed it out, there was a huge gap between the V and the A. I just kerned that a little tighter. So there you go. There's your working file. The front of the Norse Code t-shirts just says Valhalla Norseman with the logo. But wouldn't it be nice if Valhalla arced? Wouldn't that be kind of nice? And this is type on a path. And I don't know if you can notice, but we got real problems. What is going on? Let's just zoom in here so you can see that type on a path is, of course, a really, really big circle, but it's just not working. It's all clunky. So what can we do? Now, I have noticed a few of you found this, and maybe you found it too and you just chose not to use it. But let's explore how to make that arc in another way and then add something to it. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. And there's my appearance window. If you didn't set up this tricky custom workspace and you don't have your appearance panel out, you can find it right here. And down here in effects, warp, and we just want it to arc. There are lots of other things you can play with. By default, by default, this thing drops right in front of your artwork typically. Always move stuff around so you can see what you're doing. But by default, preview is off. How handy is that? Seriously, that's the default? Okay, so maybe that's a little much. Maybe we don't want it that much. So we pull it back. It would be really cool if this updated live. Maybe one day that'll happen. And you can play around and get it just right. I'm just going to accept that and say, okay. So now we have this arc, and when you roll over it, the original text is still there. This arc is being created with math. So that's why you're seeing both of these. So don't freak. This one's not going to show up. But this Valhalla looks a little squatty, a little short, and there is no chunk 5 tall. And I'm sure there's other fonts out there. But I've told you never to do this. But as with everything, you shouldn't, well, not everything, but with typographic rules, once you know them, it's okay to break them. This type of font is kind of forgiving, and we can go easily too far stretching this out. Oh, it helps if you actually select the text before you try to change the size. We can take this too far and it starts looking, a little too much, because the thickness of the serifs starts to overpower things. The thickness of the horizontal lines are getting stretched more than the rest. So I'm not going to select it. I'm not going to fine tune this. I just want to show you that you can play around with this, excuse me, and possibly find something that works a little better than what you've been working with. And then as a finishing touch to this arc text, if you choose to go that way, I'm going to switch over to Chrome. Do you remember this? This tutorial? This is the 4th of 4 videos, and I'll embed it below. But this is the strokes not working at all. And then this is how to make that stroke with the appearance of white in between, that it floats outside and it doesn't, make the letters look just awful when it's too thick because the stroke cuts in. You get that? Okay, right there. So I'll wrap this up. I'll link you there. And what I'm asking you to do is just consider jazzing up the front of the shirt a little bit.